Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here among these beautiful Bitcoiners. And I want to say the topic of this panel will be value for value. And I didn't have a clear idea of value for value until the last month when they assigned me this panel. And I discovered that many Bitcoiners, not only noobs, they don't have a clear idea of what the value for value models means. So we are going to discover it together. But first, I don't think you need a lot of presentation, but I would love to say a few words about you. We have Anita Posch here. Anita is an educator. She's really helping Bitcoiners all over the world, especially now in Africa, to earn Bitcoin. Is an author of a wonderful book, Learn Bitcoin, and she's an unstoppable force. You're doing so many things. What are you focused on now? What are you working on at this moment?
At that moment, I'm just working on an online learning program, which also offers memberships, where you then can access me live and ask questions and things like that. And the goal is also to educate the educators in African countries.
Wow. And then we have Bumi. He's a co-founder of Albi. And Albi, if you don't know about Albi, you should go to get Albi and discover the ecosystem and all the tools that Albi can really provide. I'm really fascinated on how much you're working on helping Bitcoiner using Lightning Network even easier, but also helping people outside the Bitcoin world and Lightning Network make these tools easier. What are you focusing right now with the Albi, especially?
The goal is to bring Lightning closer to anything that works on the web.
Yeah.
Meaning to allow applications to attach Lightning's payments to any user interaction, because we believe in the usefulness of the Lightning Network if we combine that with applications that people are currently using already. Some of the things that we're going to talk about, like the podcasting space or the Nostr space and so on, where we have deep Lightning integration. So yeah, one of the main known things that we do is the browser extension. So yeah, this is kind of the focus currently.
Great. And now we have Matěj. He's working on Plebster. And Plebster, if I understood correctly, is a client which help and also an app to help. It was called Twitoshi before, right?
Yeah. Well,
yes.
Let's say yeah. So
Yeah.
we built Twitoshi, which was Twitter client with Lightning Network integration, with Bitcoin integration. And then we pivoted to Plebster, which is somewhat similar, but on a Nostr system on the new decentralized social media protocol.
And you are making that easier to use, right? And
yeah, that's our
part
main
of your goal.
Yeah, to bring masses to Nostr and educate them about Bitcoin.
Well, yeah. Wow. So let's talk a little bit about value for value. What does this mean to you personally, this model, Anita?
Oh, I think it's a great model. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur since 20 years. And it's the great thing about value for value is that you can basically exit the advertising surveillance machine and basically connect to your listeners, to the people who read your content. And they can then, in exchange for the value that you gave to them, send you Satoshis. And I think it's a really, really great opportunity also for people in African countries, for instance. They can create content and receive value in form of Bitcoin from everywhere around the world. And I think it, in a way, democratizes also the access to Bitcoin. And I mean, in a world where all online content is basically free, it's great if people show their support also and that they really honor the value that the creators put in.
Yeah, wow. And Bumi, the first time you heard about the concept, you were immediately fascinated about it. You wanted to work on tools to help enable value for value? Or were you more skeptical about it?
There are two lines. First of all, I think, the value for value concept is already quite known, not in that name,
Yeah,
but in
right.
the offline world, I would say.
Yeah.
So we value street musicians, for example. So, and I pass it, I hear a great song, and I give value back in form of money in that case. But at the same time, I was always in the web, we were always missing this. We didn't have a way to give anything back, even so we had a direct connection between a creator and me as a user and a consumer, but we never had a way to give that back. And this was actually something that always interested me. When I came about the idea of value for value, or the name of the value for value, where it got popularized, especially in the context of podcasting,
Yes.
then it definitely made sense for me, and I thought, okay, this is a great concept also for that we need to, also for monetization on the web in general.
Yes. Yesterday you talked about the idea that also client and also tool in a way in the future should be rewarded for their job, and not only the creators of content. And Matěj, you are focused on building Plebster. And do you agree with that? Because you are working a lot of Plebster. What's your monetization idea for a client?
Yeah, so value for value is an amazing model, and we are trying to give a little bit different approach in terms of like a business model into it as well. And what we did with previously Twitoshi and what we want to do with Plebster as well is to try ads model, but with a Bitcoin twist. So users will see ads in the app just like they are used to, but we will share our ad revenue with the end user in Bitcoin. So at the end of the day, user will get Satoshis just for using the app, and then the user can keep them or share them with their favorite creator. And of course, this should be optional, so user can turn off the ads. The user can buy some premium subscription to get rid of the ads, but keep some premium features. So that's how we think about it, and I think it can help the value for value model even more, because then the average user will get Satoshis basically for free for using the app, and the user is much more encouraged to zap, to basically donate those sets to the creators. And to keep moving the inside Bitcoin economy. So that's how we think about it.
That's really great. And so I found this quote by Der Gigi. The internet never had a native currency, so it had to use a surrogate, attention. So this was the old model, but right now we can do something better with the value for value model, especially through tools that enable Lightning Network, Bitcoin through Lightning Network. So value for value was a good concept, but before Bitcoin and the Lightning Network was barely used. So these tools are really important, and all the work you are doing are really helping bringing value at all the value for value model. So do you think that the advertising model of the past can coexist with the value for value model, or we are going to see more adoption of this type of model in the future?
Oh, I think both. Hello.
Both.
Hi. Yeah. So I think both. I think at the beginning, of course, the models will run in parallel. I mean, value for value is still very unknown in the mainstream, although basically it combines the greatness of the openness and the internet, and that you can share your knowledge with the world, with the uncensorability of Bitcoin. I mean, we never had that in the history before, and so this will really change the world. We are everyone is online all the time, and now just imagine with value for value podcasting or other things with streaming money, you can basically easily send Satoshis back to the creator. And I mean, we've got only a few online media left which are uncensorable. That's email, but you need to
Yeah,
run
right.
your own server. That's a newsletter. You can run your own newsletter software. And RSS feeds, which basically is podcasting. And if you own your own server, you can run your own website. And all of that is uncensorable and enables also free speech. So I think at the beginning it will run in parallel, because if you're just doing value for value, you won't be able to live off of that. You have to say that. But I see a lot of possibilities coming up, even more with Nostr and also, of course, the Lightning Network.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
just to add on that, I think in Bitcoin is always about building alternatives to current models, and that's how I see it here with the Lightning Network and value for value too. In the end, it's about what works for everybody, or what works for the individual, more or less, and value by value in combination with the Lightning Network for monetization. Just builds an alternative for creators, for app developers, and so on to to earn money, to get value from what they're doing. So
Yeah, and also the quality can really increase of the content. When you get rewarded for the quality of your content, you can check if your content is doing well, because if you put value on that content, not at front, but after, it's really interesting. This is the first time. So a friend of mine today just sent me a link to an article of 1998, and Jacopo Nilsson was talking about the case for micropayments. And he would predict that most websites that don't sell things are now funded by advertising, but in the future they will be controlled by advertising people, and will become less and less useful to users. And he predicted that in 2 years, actually, so basically in 2000, we will have micropayments on the internet. The prediction was right, but here we are in 2023 years old, so it was correct. But we have to remember that Bitcoin enabled that, and now we have Lightning Network that really help with that. So we have now podcasting through value for value model, and also we have Nostr, and of course Plebster is working with Nostr. So how do you see, is people really using Nostr, or only a small amount of people right now? Because at the beginning there was a lot of enthusiasm, but I feel that right now there are plenty of people that are using it, but other people were like, I didn't like at the beginning, so I'm not using anymore.
Yeah, like it's super early. I think it's like
Yeah.
Bitcoin in 2010, 2011. So if you will ask people how many people use Bitcoin at that time, it would be similar. But actually, if we check the statistics on Nostr, it's pretty in line with like the adoption of Twitter or Facebook. So that's interesting, but I think it's super early. All the apps are at the beginning, a lot of features. For example, Plebster doesn't even have like a mention feature. We are implementing it right now. It will be ready next week. So there are super simple features we have to implement first. And there are other clients like Demus that they are much more ahead and they are super complex. But even them, there is a lot of work we have to do first. And we have to make the apps user-friendly, so more communities can come in and not only the super tech-savvy Bitcoiners.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, it's coming in like the next 2 years, 1-2 years probably.
Yeah, I was having breakfast and I was reading about all the new idea on Nostr only this morning. The things are improving and getting so fast. There is a lot of enthusiasm, and so I really like this idea. What about Zaps? I also heard that many people that enter into Nostr at the beginning don't know about what Zaps are. How would you describe the Zaps to people here?
Yeah, so it's basically an option to make a super small microtransaction to someone to donate a super small amount of monetary value to the, in most cases, author of the post or article or something else. And it's enabled by Lightning Network, which has super small fees and can send these small transactions in a matter of seconds. And yeah, it's amazing. You should try it.
It's really amazing.
Yeah, and yeah, as I said, with Plebster, we are experimenting with the ads, so the user can get the Lightning the sets basically for free. First to the Lightning wallet, and then they can be like, oh, what I can do with those sets? Maybe I can like push this Zap button to try to send it to like my favorite creator or whatever. And yeah, that's how we want to basically show the users how to use it so they can learn about it, quote, for free.
I like the idea that those are more like a thank you than a tip, actually. And we
Yeah.
discussed it yesterday, 2 days ago, in another Value for Value panel. Do you agree, Bumi?
Yeah, totally. I mean, what I wanted to add here is we now have open source programmable money, and suddenly we can have these user interactions instead of a like. We are zapping, we are sending sats, we are attaching more value to it, and suddenly this is a much stronger signal for the content, and at the same time also like the option for the creator to receive sats. So I think it's important to understand that actually Bitcoin as an open network and Lightning as the payment network only enable that we can like program that into the application.
It's crazy because also new things are improving so fast, just like Zappertising. The next panel will be about Zappertising, and it's evolving so fast. And do you think that people are starting to give more zaps, in your opinion, or they are getting used to it? I personally find kind of addictive. At the beginning it was strange, but right now I want to zap all the sats I receive. I want to give them back in a sort of a circular economy. Are people using zaps? Are increasing the use, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so, and it's addictive. And once you try it, you actually understand that this is much better, like informing, like for the creator. I get 100 likes, like, okay, like what is it? But if I get some sets, I know, okay, someone literally put monetary value on my work, and I know my work is valuable for someone, and I can measure which type of like posts or articles are valuable for my audience. And yeah, it's much more accurate than likes or reposts or stuff like that.
And Anita, there is not only Noster, because podcasting 2.0 is really improving, and you are really involved in that too, right? You have a project about podcasting too. Can you talk about it a little bit?
Of course, of course. I also would like to talk a little bit about the development of value for value podcasting, because it all started for me at the end of 2020. When the first Lightning-enabled podcasts were around. And I was one of the first 10 podcasts which enabled value for value streaming. So, and now we've got 13,000 podcasts which are value for value enabled. But in the big picture, it's still small because it's about 4 million podcasts available around the world.
Wow.
And speaking to the topic of the ads in podcasts, I had sponsorships on my podcast as well. And I can tell you from my own experience, I always had good sponsors, like the products were fitting to my message, self-custody, privacy, etc. But in the end, you think about what you're saying in your podcast.
Yeah, right.
So you are a little bit self-censoring. And this actually shouldn't be the case. And the second thing is, if you don't have ads in your podcast and you can do podcasting 2.0, then I mean, all the podcasts you're listening to, the companies are surveilling you. They are saving all your data. What are you listening to? So basically, you're the product as everywhere online. Yeah? And that's what value for value can change. We are not the product anymore. We are the consumers, and we define what we like, and we pay for that. And I think that's a big, big power.
Wow. I also want to talk a little bit about Geyser, which is a crowdfunding, and you had the most crowdfunded project for BFF, right?
Yes, that's right. So first I wanted to say that Bumi and I, Aubi, and Bitcoin for Fairness, we founded BTCPodcasting.com, which is a great platform if you want to start and host a podcast to share knowledge with your community. Because on our platform, it's free to use. Not like on Anchor, you don't lose the copyright to your podcast. And you can immediately start receiving Satoshis. All you need is a Aubi wallet and a Lightning address, and you can start.
Wow.
And speaking about Giza, yes, so these sites are a great opportunity for everyone also to crowdfund Bitcoin for their project. And I think we almost made a Bitcoin now in the last year. And I think it's a very empowering tool for projects, organizers, communities, and such. And I think it's just great.
Absolutely. And all the ecosystem that is growing is mind-blowing and so fast, and so many things I personally discovered. But not everything is so beautiful because we have a lot of challenges to face at the moment. So this is a question for Bumi and for you, Matěj. What do you think are the most tragic challenges we are facing now?
So we have two sides. We have a technical side, and there are a lot of technical challenges that we still have to solve. Like one thing that, for example, is in the podcasting 2.0 space super exciting is the idea of split payments.
Yeah.
So it's not only that I'm sending a payment to one recipient basically, but I can split it up to even the guests that are part of the podcast, or somebody who is doing the mixing, or somebody who is doing the artwork, so or an application that is in between. But there still we need a lot of work on the protocol level to support that, to support these value streams across different applications. The splits work very differently in Nostr than in podcasting. So I think going forward we need to somehow unify that, also to spread the idea of value for value and these kind of payments to other applications and other verticals in that sense. And the second thing is obviously adoption, where we have to make it more usable for the end user. I think the idea of that we're talking about here is great also to attract new people into Bitcoin, because it's like Bitcoin makes it possible, but ultimately everybody is listening to a podcast, for example. So there we bring Bitcoin actually to these different communities, but we have to explain it to them and we have to make it more user-friendly.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we have to make it more user-friendly. But maybe we shouldn't talk that much about Bitcoin, especially in terms like of Nostr, because it's just a technology that enables these small and cheap transactions. So right now on Nostr, it's mostly Bitcoiners, and when I talk to like no-coiners, they are like, oh, this is social media for Bitcoiners only. And we have to explain them like, no, Nostr is not about Bitcoin, it's decentralized social media, and you can use Bitcoin there, but it's not about Bitcoin. You can use money and you can do microtransaction and reward your favorite creators with monetary value. But maybe we should like keep the Bitcoin marketing in some borders to basically enable other communities to join in and to try it and to find out that it's not only about Bitcoin and it could be broadly used social media.
Yes.
And with podcasting, it's the same, I think.
Yeah, I think usability right now is the main concern for the majority of people, and I think that many content creators could earn so easily through these tools money because they are not earning money for their jobs at the moment. Only the top ones are earning, but with these tools, many people can onboard in getting money. So. Are there any developments in the value for value model are you especially excited about? Who wants to reply? It's open.
I mean, I'm excited about bringing the idea to different communities. So that's, I think, what's one of the most important things to do. I think Nostr is like the one that's leading the way there a little bit, but we do not want to stay there. So I think also there are ideas, for example, to bring the same concept to open source development, where like open source libraries can have Lightning information, split informations, and then other applications can automatically send similar payments to that. So I mean, the possibilities are kind of endless there.
Yeah.
So, but
Yes.
What I'm very excited about is that value for value, as I said before, enables you to earn Bitcoin.
Yeah, right.
And not only learn it, but also earn it. And it's non-KYC Bitcoin. So because everyone or most people are starting that way, they're going to an exchange, they buy their Bitcoin there, and at that point they are on a list at the exchange with their name, with how much Bitcoin they own, and one day, and very soon, governments will come and ask for those lists, and then everyone knows how much Bitcoin you basically have. So to try to avoid that, try to earn Bitcoin as a freelancer or whatever, or start with value for value.
Yes. Okay, so I might have 100 questions more, but the time unfortunately is over. And thank you very much for being here and answering to our question. I'm sure all the people in the audience have other questions too, but there's no time, unfortunately. And see you probably in a few months around here and see what happens in between. Probably amazing stuff, and let's hope that all the challenges will be something in the past. So thank you very much again for
Thank you.
your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.